City of Ypsilanti, and also the co-chair for the Ypsilanti's future organization.
Thank you. I'm here tonight as the co-chair, but as you said, I was mayor for almost 12 years, and I'm also a medical doctor. I want to thank the organizers of this forum for the opportunity to talk about this critically important issue. The important services that a city like Ypsilanti provides to its residents cost money. Over the past decade, our city general fund budget has shrunk dramatically due to factors beyond our control. The closings of Motor Wheel Factory in 1998, Peninsula Paper Company in 2002, and Exemplar Manufacturing in 2003 are estimated to have stripped more than $3 million from our tax base. The anticipated closing of the Ford Ypsilanti plant at the end of this calendar year will strip another estimated $724,000 per year in taxes. Adding insult to this injury, the state government has cut state shared revenues to cities by 40% since 2001. Meanwhile, the cost of doing business is up. Ypsilanti is required by charter to have a balanced budget and has done so to date largely through cuts. The forecast is for more cuts unless new revenues can be found. So how might further cuts hurt faculty and students at EMU? Building inspection assures that rental properties meet certain minimum standards for safety and health before they can receive a certificate of occupancy and be made available for rent. You may have seen recent articles in the Ann Arbor News about the closing of apartments in Ypsilanti because the sanitary sewer line was broken and the landlord was diverting raw sewage across the parking lot to the river. Or you may have seen the articles about the closing of apartments in Ann Arbor because they had no heat and no electricity. Building inspection protects renters from unscrupulous landlords, and further budget cuts will put this service at risk. Community policing officers work with campus groups to educate new students on ways to minimize the risks of theft. They investigate thefts when they do occur. They keep the streets safe so that you can enjoy a walk from the campus to Depot Town, downtown, or to our parks. Several years ago, when a student was the tragic victim of a hit-and-run accident, our dedicated police officers were able to identify, arrest, and convict that driver. One of the most important factors for a successful university is a safe and attractive host community. Further budget cuts put policing at risk in Ypsilanti. Recent budget cuts have forced Ypsilanti to further cut its bus service from 4 routes to 2. 10 years ago, we had 6 routes. But the city of Ann Arbor generously has agreed to subsidize our service to maintain it. That reprieve ends at the end of this fiscal year, and further budget cuts in the next fiscal year put all bus service at risk. Ypsilanti provides fire and emergency response services to the campus. The tallest buildings in town are on the campus. These require the city to have a very expensive aerial ladder truck. Over 15% of the fire responses in 2006 were at EMU. The state is supposed to reimburse cities for providing fire services to state institutions like EMU. However, the state has never reimbursed cities more than about a third what they say they owe us by their own formula, forcing cities to subsidize fire services from their general fund budget. Further budget cuts then put fire service at risk. So the city of Ypsilanti is at a decision point, and I invite you to go to the website cityofypsilanti.com and read the city manager's forecast for 2 scenarios in the next budget cycle. One scenario anticipates shrinking revenues and more cuts to services, and the other scenario incorporates new revenues from a temporary city income tax, which would allow the preservation of services that are important to us all. A temporary city income tax would be 1% for residents and 0.5% for non-residents who work here. This would diversify and broaden Ypsilanti's tax base and bring in almost $4 million in new revenues. Nearly half of that would come from non-residents. Pensions, Social Security income, and IRAs would not be taxed. The city income would be temporary, expiring in 6 years. By that time, the whole statewide financial picture should be changed for the better. No is the default position. Everyone on my committee started at no until we started studying the issue. I think Ypsilanti residents are realistic. We know there's no free lunch. Nobody's going to give us what we want we have to pay for it ourselves. We've gone to the polls in support of millages for the library, millages to retrofit the public schools, millages to rebuild our roads, because we knew that was the only way to get the job done would be to do it ourselves. So this campaign for Ypsilanti's future is asking your support for an umbrella to help EMU's host city weather this current statewide financial storm. Let's take steps to protect our quality of life with our yes votes for a temporary city income tax on November 6th. By paying the known costs of a city income tax, we can avoid the unknown costs of further cuts to services. Thank you.
And finally, we also have with us the city, Ed Prisno, the city manager of Ypsilanti, who has graciously allowed us to ask him questions, but I don't know if did you want to...
As Mike said, I'm the city manager, and I'm prohibited as city manager from taking a position pro or con on the issue. So I'm here specifically to answer questions of fact.
Great. And so now we move on to the question part of the event. If you have any of the cards, we have our volunteers and assistants are walking around with index cards. They can hand those to you. Again, just try to be concise and clear with your questions, and also indicate which panelists you would like the questions to be asked. We will give time for other panelists to answer as well. Also, if you have them, just hold them up in the air when they're completed, and our assistants will come get them. So the first question we have is for City Manager Prisno. And the question is, with the $2 million property tax rollback, is that permanent?
The proposal, the income tax proposal adopted by council includes the 1% income tax on residents, the 0.5% income tax on non-residents, the $1,000 exemption, and then its effectiveness from July of 2008 till July of 2014. The ballot proposal does not include the rollback. It was a separate resolution adopted by City Council, and the proposal is that the rollback will remain in effect as long as the property tax is in effect. Income tax is in effect, I'm sorry.
I'd just like to add on to that, as speaking for City Council. City Council does not take raising taxes lightly at all, and I believe, as you probably, if you heard the governor tonight, if you've been reading the paper about what's going on in the state, there are plenty of people around to take politicians into account for raising taxes. So it's not something that City Council looks on lightly, and we felt that property owners in the city needed some tax relief with the $2 million rollback. It was done by ordinance. City Council could raise it up, but I believe that City Council is very sincere in trying to say that the property tax rate is high in Ypsilanti. We'd like to lower it, but we'd also like to get more revenue. So.
The next question is for Residence Hall Association President Allie Shepard. What do the students contribute to the city of Ypsilanti?
Thank you. Well, I think the students contribute a great deal to the Ypsilanti community. Obviously, we come here, so we contribute to the businesses in Ypsilanti. We also take part in a lot of service projects in the community.